Okay, we're going to get a bit more difficult now. You understand what a variable is and how to reference it within a script. What we are going to cover here is basically dynamic variables. A variable is not often needed, but where it can be used, it solves some very complex programming problems. A variable is just exactly what it sounds like. It is a variable that may contain values of different variables throughout the course of the script. The place that is used most often is where a user is given a choice, and based on that choice, you set the value of a variable. The best way to explain it is to see how it works. This is a very simplified use of a variable. First, we have the different values defined. In this case, let's assume this script is run after a user answers the question, "Who would you like to be your guide?" That selection we are going to decide will come through from a form in the HTTP GET format. Thus, we see the reference here to the GET superglobal array. What is really different here is the extra $sign. We'll come back to that in a moment. So if we go to a browser and navigate to the script, we're going to add the value of the variable here to the URL like this. Variable equals, let's start with var1. Run the script, see what happens. You have chosen Mike to be your guide. So, how can this be, since the value of the variable is var1 and not Mike? Back to the script we go. This is where the extra $sign becomes very important. The interpreter hits this first $sign and it says, okay, variable coming, and then prepares to insert the value of that variable. But then it hits this next $sign and this get superglobal array. So the interpreter then, again, prepares to replace a variable. So what you end up with is the interpreter replacing two values. First, it replaces the get variable with the value of the variable, which we chose to be, in this case, var1. Then it continues to replace the second variable with the value of what that variable is now, which is now the variable var1, which we defined above to be Mike. So the first pass through, it replaces the get variable, and you end up with var1. It then replaces var1 with what we've defined var1 to be, which is Mike. Confusing? Yes. But understanding how and why this works is integral to solving some of the very difficult programming problems that you will run into. In your browser, try replacing var1 after variable with var2 or var3 and see how the name changes each time we do that. var4 gets Bill. Now if we replace var5, we get nothing. You've chosen and then nothing to be your guide because we have not defined var5 in our script. Once you understand variables, you'll be well on your way to becoming a stellar PHP programmer, as there are only a very small percentage of PHP programmers that understand how to use variables.